Welcome inside the State Champs Sports Network studio on the campus of Lawrence Technological University. My name is Lauren Plant. I'd like to introduce you to the first State Champs Scout Show. Founding members of the Scout team beside me, Scott Bernstein and Matt Mowry. Both of these gentlemen have well over 20 years of sports journalism credibility. Both have worked for numerous newspapers, including the Oakland Press. You can read their great work every day at statechampsnetwork.com. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Let's rip and run, baby.
All right, so here we go. We're away. Each and every week, we're going to talk up recruiting news from a variety of sports covering a variety of states. With this being the inaugural edition of the Scout Show, football, of course, on the brain. And that's where we begin with Michigan high school football in our backyard. We're going to begin there and talk about a huge matchup we had in week one of the football season. Our number one team in the state, West Bloomfield, welcomed in our number three team, Oak Park. And Matt Mowry, talk about some of the matchups we had between some of the top recruits we have in the state.
Well, it was a game that was just absolutely packed with 4- and 5-star players, probably 8 to 10 of them between the two teams. And it was interesting seeing the chess game of the different matchups as the coaches moved those pieces around on the field. After one big run early for Donovan Edwards, it was real tough sledding between the tackles where Oak Park had set up Dondi Price, Rayshon Benny, and Justin Rogers, their 300-pounders in the middle. There was no room for him to run inside after one big long run. And after that, one of the more intriguing matchups was on the outside, where the Lakers took their safety, Makari Page, who's headed to Michigan, and put him one-on-one in coverage with Malik Carr, the big wide receiver from Oak Park, and he blanketed him for the rest of the game, with the exception of a couple of snaps near the end. Carr had one long touchdown pass early that was called back for a penalty, and after that he was pretty well blanked by Page.
And really, if you think about those names he was throwing out there, these are all highly regarded prospects.
Let's just do a quick indexing.
Yes.
So you have the number one overall player in the state in Justin Rogers.
Yes.
You have the number one cornerback in the state in Enzo Jennings. This is Oak Park.
Yes.
You have the number one safety in the state from West Bloomfield in Makari Page. You have the number one tailback in the state for West Bloomfield in Donovan Edwards.
That's right.
You have, for my dollar, the best linebacker in the state in Cornell Wheeler for West Bloomfield. So I mean, just in terms of the star-studded nature, the wow factor, I mean, he didn't get any better in week one.
And who would you say were the absolute standouts between both those teams in week one?
Just based on that, the fact that Page basically shut down Carr for the remainder of the game, that was one of them, and Donovan Edwards obviously broke the big long run early that kind of changed the game. Those two really, really stood out.
And it was impressive to see that, considering he's coming off an injury.
Yeah, that was basically his first touch in live action since his injury last year. And
which was significant.
Yes.
Let me just throw out a couple of names for people to watch for future blue chippers.
Yeah.
In West Bloomfield, you got two sophomores that are getting a lot of looks from the Big Ten, SEC, ACC. Michael Williams, who already has a Michigan offer. He's a tight end, fullback hybrid that also plays linebacker. Dylan Tatum's a tailback coming up, learning behind Donovan Edwards. And then over on the Oak Park side of the ball, Marlo Dawson, potential 4-star, 5-star linebacker, and then Jalen Reed, a safety that's already getting a lot of big time looks.
That's right, the coach of West Bloomfield, Ron Bellamy, a former Michigan product himself. We'll get back to Matt in just a minute, but Scott Bernstein here prides himself on researching beyond the borders of the mitten when it comes to prime time prospects. And there was always no shortage of athletes to talk about. I'm going to let Scott take over here as he has a fantastic 5 repping the Great Lakes region.
We got a 5-pack of superstars right now that everyone should be aware of when you're talking about Great Lakes State recruiting. Let's start off in Illinois. David Davidkoff from New Trier outside of Chicago, the number 2 prospect in the entire state, just got an Ohio State offer over the weekend.
Wow.
Took a visit. He is already been offered by Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Illinois, pretty much all the Big Ten schools. He's a name to really be aware of. He's an offensive tackle, a lot of agility, a lot of aggression at the point of attack. Then moving over to Nazareth Academy out of LaGrange. They have a defensive end by the name of Ryan Keeler, pass rush prodigy, a guy that comes after the quarterback with a lot of ferocity, He just got an Oregon State offer last week, so the Pac-12 coming in on him. Kentucky and Wisconsin both offered him over the summer, and he's the type of kid that it seems like the feeling among scouts is that Michigan will eventually land him because Michigan has already landed his quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, who's considered the #1 player in Illinois. He's headed to Team Harbaugh in Ann Arbor. Moving over into Ohio, in Pickerington Central, we got Lorenzo Styles, wide receiver, considered a top 5 prospect in Ohio's junior class. His father, Lorenzo Styles, played in the NFL, played at Ohio State, was a linebacker, won a Super Bowl with the St. Louis Rams. He was a linebacker, but Lorenzo Styles Jr. is a wide receiver, great motor, a lot of intangibles. He's just a natural playmaker, considered a blue chipper. Florida offered, I believe the week before the season started, so the SEC starting to show some love. Already got Auburn, Notre Dame, Ohio State. They seem to be the leaders in the clubhouse right now for Styles. And then let's move over to Wisconsin, to Milwaukee King, Rufus King High School in Milwaukee. You got 2 sophomores that are really starting to gain some traction. They're recruiting Jerry Cross, 6'6" wide receiver, long, rangy, just a potential playmaker, red zone threat. Scouts are really starting to feel him and get interest in him, and it's only a matter of time, I think, before the Big Ten schools offer him. And then finishing off with defensive end, defensive tackle, real versatile on the defensive line, a guy by the name of Cam Dunn. Cam right now came over to King from Waukesha Catholic last year, played small school ball, moving up to a bigger school with Milwaukee King, known for his versatility. Seems like Iowa and Michigan are the teams that are showing the most interest in Cam Dunn right now.
Okay, cool. Now back to Matt as we wrap up this first edition of the State Champs Scout Show. Back here in the Wolverine State, Cass Tech High School has a great reputation when it comes to some of the top recruits in the Midwest each and every year. Although Game 1 versus Illinois Phillips High was less than to be desired, the offensive line is a bright spot for the technicians.
Well, and you talked about that bevy of recruits that they always seem to be shipping off to colleges. Last year was no different.
Yeah.
And a lot of those were at the skill positions.
Correct.
So they're relatively young and inexperienced at those positions. Where they're not is on the line, and it is a massive line that averages 6'3", 317 pounds.
Averages.
Averages, yes. At left tackle, you've got Terrence Enos Jr., who's 6'5", 317. He's got 16 offers, including LSU, Kentucky, Maryland, Missouri, Pitt, West Virginia. Left guard is Craig Rush, the lone senior on the line, 6'4", 379 pounds. He's got offers from Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Tuskegee, and at center is probably the star of the whole group in Raheem Anderson, a 4-star recruit, 6'3", 298 pounds. 15 offers, including Kentucky, LSU, Maryland, Michigan, Missouri, Nebraska, West Virginia. At right guard is the little dude on the line, Jarvis Wyndham, who's 6 foot, 264 pounds.
Right.
He's got an offer from Arkansas Baptist, and then at right tackle is Charlie Sims, 6'5", 330. Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Austin Peay, Kentucky, Tuskegee.
So a lot of great line play in the big. In all of Michigan, but specifically in the PSL right now, a lot of great play in the trenches.
Yeah, and looking at the final score may not be indicative of how well this unit played. How did they look as a group?
It's a line that is going to move people. I mean, obviously, when you've got that kind of size, but you've also got some of those kids that are very nimble and able to pass block. So they looked good, but it was a work in progress in terms of continuity and getting the cohesiveness of an offense when you get new skill position players, primarily a quarterback and tailback and all of those kind of things. So it's going to take time for the entire offensive unit to gel. But that line is the starting point.
And looking at it from a more macro as opposed to micro, when you're talking about Anderson, Enos, and then Buford over at King, those are 3 of the best line prospects that the PSL has had in probably 5-10 years.
Okay, well there you go. All right, that's it for this week. Both Matt and Scott contribute a slew of weekly written content at statechampsnetwork.com. Blogs, features, rankings, and we have a live Michigan Friday night post-game talk show where we talk Michigan high school football results live, 10:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the State Champs Network Facebook page, YouTube channel, and now on Twitter. Join us next week where we'll dive into volleyball. Thanks for watching this week's State Champs Scout Show.